grade 7. So last meeting, we have discussed about real number system, wherein the real number system is contains the rational and irrational numbers. So we already tackled about changing different forms of rational numbers from decimal to fraction and from fraction to decimal. Okay? So now we're going to perform the 4 operations on rational numbers. Let's start first with adding rational numbers. So let's have first the fraction. So adding fraction po muna tayo. So adding fraction, for example, 3/4 plus 2/4. Okay? So we have 3/4 plus 2/4. So as we can see in our example, they are similar fractions because they have the same denominators. So in adding similar fractions, all we have to do is to add their numerators or the numbers above the fraction bar. 3 plus 2, we have 5. And then, all we have to do with the denominator is to copy it. Okay? So your answer is 5/4 or 5/4. If we are going to change it into mixed number, okay, because it is improper fraction, so we can change it into mixed number. So what are we going to do to change this 5/4 into mixed number? So we are just going to divide 5 divided by 4. Okay? So 5 divided by 4, that is 1. Tama? 1 times 4, 4. So 5 minus 4, 1. So the mixed number will be, your answer or the quotient will be the whole number, 1. Okay? Your remainder will be your numerator, and the denominator will remain the same. So, it's either 5/4 or 1 and 1/4. Okay, they are both correct. We just convert this improper fraction into its mixed numbers. Okay? So, that is what are we going to do if we are going to add similar fractions. So, how about if we are going to add dissimilar fractions? So, when we say dissimilar fractions po, these are fractions having different denominators. Kaya nga po ang tawag sa kanila ay dissimilar because they have different denominators. So, let's have, for example, 5/8 plus 6/12. Okay, so 5/8 plus 6/12 or 6/12. Nakikita ba? Yan, again, for example, 5/8 plus 6/12. So, if we're going to add the similar fractions, what are we going to do first is to make those two fractions similar. So, how are we going to make them similar? By just simply getting or finding their LCD. So, first step is to find their LCD or the least common denominator. Least common denominator of the denominator, of course. So, we have our denominators 8 and 12. 8 and 12. So, LCD or LCM, pares lang po yan, but we are dealing with fractions, so it is called as LCD. Okay, so what are the multiples of 8? Multiples of 8. So we have 8, 16, 24, 32, and so on. How about 12? So we have 12, 24, 36, and so on. So we are just going to find the two numbers or the least two numbers that are common to both numbers or both sets of numbers. So, as I can see here, we have 24 4. So 24 is our LCD and that will be our denominator. Okay? So our LCD is 24. So that will be our denominator, our new denominator. Okay? So after getting the LCD po, this is what are we going to do? We have to divide 24 divided by 8. That is 3 times 5, 15. And then copy the operation, which is addition. So we have, repeat the same process. 24 divided by 12, that is 2 times 6, that is 12. Okay? So, add the numerators. 15 plus 12, 27. Tama? And then copy the denominator. You have 27 over 24. Excuse me. So, if you have your answers already, all you have to do now is to make it into its lowest term. Okay? Kailangan po natin siyang i-simplify. So, how are we going to simplify fractions? So, in simplifying fractions po, we are going to find, ayan, simplifying po we are going to find the GCF naman. So, in simplifying fractions, we are going to find, we have to find the GCF or the greatest common factor. Okay? We have to find the GCF or the greatest common factor of 27 and 4. The two numbers that we can divide, 27 and 4. The greatest number that we can divide, 27 and 4. So, hanapin po natin. So, let's have 27 and 24. So, let us list down all the factors of 27. We have 1, 3, tama, 9, and 27. Okay? How about 24? So, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 12, and 24. Okay? So now, in these sets of numbers, we are going to find the greatest common. Pinakamalaki na magkapareho po sila. I can see 3. Okay? So ito po, 3 is the greatest common factor. The GCF of 27 and 4 is 3. So now, we are going to divide this fraction into 3. So, divided by 3 over 3 to get the lowest term. Okay, 27 divided by 3, 9 over 24 divided by 3, 8. So, your final answer will be 9 eighths or 9 over 8. Okay? So, this can already be the final answer. But if you want to change it into mixed number, you can also change it. Okay? So let's try to change it into its mixed number. Kaya pa ba dito? So, all we have to do to change improper fraction into mixed number is to divide it. So, 9 divided by 8. So, 9 divided by 8, that is 1. 1 times 8, that is 8. So, 9 minus 8, 1. Okay? So, the whole number will be the quotient. The numerator is the remainder. And the denominator will remain the same. So, your answer can be 9 eighths or 1 and 1 eighths. They are both correct. Okay, so now let's have subtracting rational numbers naman. Okay? So in subtracting rational numbers, of course, we can subtract similar fractions. We can also subtract dissimilar fractions. But let's have the similar fractions first. So for example, we have 18 over 27 minus 15 over 27. Ayan, meron tayong 18 over 27 minus 15 over 27. So, in subtracting similar fractions, all we have to do is to subtract their numerator. 18 minus 15, that is 3, tama? And then copy the denominator. Okay? So, if you have already got your answers, you are going to simplify it. Okay? Simplify. So, in simplifying 3 over 27, what are we going to do? We have to find their GCF first. So, GCF of 3 and 27. So, we are going to list down all the factors of 3 and 27 for us to identify which is the greater factor, or greatest factor, I mean. So, for factors of 3, we have 1 and 3. Factors of 27, we have 1, 3, 9, and 27. So, the greatest factor, obviously, is 3. So, the GCF of the 3 and 27 is 3. Now, we're going to divide both the numerator and denominator by 3. Okay? So, 3 divided by 3, that is 1, over 27 divided by 3, that is 9. Okay? So, your final answer will be 1 over 9, or 1/9. Okay? So, how about when we are going to subtract dissimilar fractions? So, dissimilar fractions, fractions that have different denominators. So, for example, we have 12, 21, or 21st, and then minus 4 sevenths. So, for example, we have 12 over 21 minus 4 over 7. So, just like what we did in addition of rational numbers, we also have to make these two fractions similar since they are dissimilar fractions, di ba? Excuse me. So, we need to make these two fractions similar first. But how? So, by getting their LCD. Okay, just like what we did a while back. Get the LCD of 21 and 7. So, let us now list down all the multiples of 21 and 7. So, for 21, the multiples are 21, 42, 63, and so on. For 7 naman, we have 7, 14, 21, and so on. So, the least common denominator is obviously 21. So, the LCD of 21 and 7 is 21. So, that will be our new denominator. Now, so we are going to divide 21 divided by 21, that is 1, times 12, that is 12. And then copy the operation. Minus 21 divided by 7, that is 3, times 4, that is 12. Okay? So now, let's subtract 12 minus 12. So 12 minus 12 is 0. And then copy the denominator. So if you have this answer 0 over 12, so technically, this is equal to 0. Okay, your answer will be 0. Why? Because all the fractions that have 0 as their numerator is equivalent to 0 po. Again, lahat po ng fraction na may numerator na 0 is equal to 0 only. Okay, that is its simplified term, or simplified answer. Okay? Okay, so now let's have multiplying rational numbers naman since we are done with addition and subtraction. Okay, in multiplying rational numbers naman, it doesn't matter if it is similar or dissimilar fraction since we are going to use the same process for both similar and dissimilar fraction. So for example, we have 3/8 times 2/8. So these given fractions are similar fractions. So what are we going to do with these fractions is to multiply them. So how are we going to multiply them is thus, we are just going to multiply the numerators. 3 times 2, that is 6, and then multiply directly their denominators. 8 times 8, that is 64. Okay? So if you already have your answer, do not forget to take it or make it into its lowest term by getting their GCF. So kunin natin ang kanilang GCF. So 6 and 64. Let's list down all of their factors. So for 6, we have 1, 2, 3, and 6. For 64, 1, 2, 4, 8, and 64. Okay? So what is the greatest common factor? So obviously, the greatest common factor is 2. GCF of 6 and 64 is 2. Okay, we have to divide them both by 2. So 6 divided by 2, that is 3. 64 divided by 2, that is 32. Tama? 32. Okay, so your final answer will be 3/32. Okay? That is already in its simplest form. Okay, so medyo umuulan. Kung naririnig niyo yung mga kulog, so pasensya na. So I will try my best na lang nalakasan yung boses ko para mangibabaw pa din yung boses ko, ha? Okay, so now let's try to multiply fractions or dissimilar fractions. So, for example, 8/10 times 6/12. Put 1/10. 12. So, these two numbers are dissimilar. So, what are we going to do? So, just like what we did with similar fractions or multiplication of similar fractions, the same process. So, we have to multiply the numerator to the numerator. 8 times 6, that is 48. Tama? Then, denominator to denominator, 10 times 12 is 120. So, if you already get your answer, you need to make it into its lowest term. So, list down all the, the factors of 48 and the factors of 120. Okay, so here are the factors of 48 and the factors of 120. So now, we are going to identify which is the greatest common factor of the two numbers. So, ano ang pinakamalaki na pareho sila dalawa? So, I can see 12, tama? 16, 48. So, 12. So, the GCF of 48 and 120 is 12. So, let us divide both numbers by 12. So, 48 divided by 12. So, that is 244. Tama? Tama. 4 times 12 is 48. Over 12 divided by 100 divided by 12, that is 10. So, hindi 12 ang kanyang GCF. But you still can divide this by 2. 2/5, since 2 over 5 do not have their common factor aside from 1 na lang. So, kapag wala ng common factor, ang dalawang numbers aside from 1, it is already in its lowest term na po. Okay? Again, if the two numbers do not have any common factor aside from 1, then it is already in its lowest term. Okay? Okay, so correct ko lang po. The GCF 48 and 120 is 16 po. Is 24 pala, not 12. Okay, 24. Ito po, 24. Na-overlook ko po kanina. But this process is still correct. Okay? So, kung gusto nyo po mapadali, the same lang din naman yung kakalabasan niya. So, 24. Since it is the GCF, so we can divide 24 on both denominator and numerator. So, 48 divided by 24, that is 2 over 120 divided by 24, that is 5. Okay, so your answer is still 2/5. Okay, the same answer, the same process. As long as you will come up with the same answer, then it is correct. Okay? So, in dividing rational numbers naman po, ganito po, or dividing fraction po, ganito po. For example, 7 over 18 divided by 9 over 12. Yan. So, 7 over 18 divided by 9 over 12. So, what is the first step that we are going to do when we are dividing fractions? So, first step is to find the reciprocal. Find the reciprocal we have to find the reciprocal of this fraction. Okay, when you say reciprocal po, the numerator will become the denominator and the denominator will become the numerator. Magpapalit lang po ng pwesto yung numerator and denominator. So, it will become 7 over 18. It will remain the same. And then, divided by, yun po yung pagpapalitin natin. 12 over 9. So, 12 over 9, tama. But, when you already get the reciprocal from division, the operation will be multiplication na. Okay? Again po, when you already get the reciprocal of the second fraction, it will no longer be division. It will become multiplication na po. And then, we will apply the steps or procedures that we already tackled a while back. Kanina lang po. So, in multiplying fractions, we are just going to multiply directly the numerator to numerator and denominator to the denominator. Okay? So, 7 times 12, that is 84 divided by 9. 18 times 9, that is 72, 162. Okay? So, from this, we are going to get the LCD of the two numbers, numerator and denominator, and then GCF, and then deduce it into lowest term.